I don't really know how to start this video, so I'm just going to start with a brief description. This video, and hopefully a few more, will serve as kind of a campaign diary / lore explanation for a homebrew world my friends and I made for D&D. And I'm hoping this can become a resource for people to start writing stuff of their own. But first and foremost, I gotta get into character here. Hi, I'm here to contact you about your wagon's extended warranty. We are going to be looking at the continent known as Lornaghast. You can consider these first few videos to be sort of like a social studies course on a landmass that doesn't exist. Now, for the moment, we're going to be holding off on the different countries of Lornaghast, and instead we're going to focus solely on notable landmarks and key geographical sites that you could visit if Lornaghast was a real place. Alright class, settle down, open your Lornaghastian history books to chapter 1, Basic Geography. For the most part, Lornaghast consists primarily of forests and plains, similar to the geography of North America. This is mostly because that's what I imagined fantasy worlds looking like when I was a kid growing up in rural Minnesota. The big landmarks of note include a large desert region to the south, some islands scattered around the coastline, a massive canyon to the southeast, a few mountain peaks, a mountain range to the northwest, and a small tundra region to the northeast. To any budding geologists out there, I realize that this setup has some geographical flaws, but I'm not Mini Minuteman. I am a nerd living in a basement, and this is fantasy. Just have fun with it. Milo, please don't hurt my family. I swear I'll make my maps geologically possible. I'm going to talk about a few key geological locations, briefly discuss them and what makes them notable, and then we'll discuss why they're important in terms of Lornaghastian culture. Let's start things off with that desert region I was talking about. The orc called this area Takro Gianavuk, or Land of Giants, but it's commonly referred to as just the Badlands. This region is the sacred homeland of the Lornaghastian orc, and is also an incredibly dangerous area to live in. The Badlands are absolutely crawling with things that want you dead. They range from giant scorpions, dinosaur, worms, wyverns, and if legends and a number of strange kobolds are to be believed, Tarrasques. There's only one permanent settlement in the Badlands, and that's the city of Drake's Tooth, the home of the Uruk Din, or Orc of Dragons. Created from the remains of an ancient and gigantic blue dragon, with several homes carved into the very bones of the dragon itself, Drake's Tooth is an oasis in an otherwise unforgiving land. That said, if you were an outsider, you probably wouldn't be very welcome. The Uruk Din believes that they come from the maw of the dragon itself, and thus are the only ones fit to live in Drake's Tooth, which paints a negative picture of outsiders. Moving a bit to the north, we have the Ta Den Canyon. This absolutely massive crack. Sorry, that's a funny sentence to read out loud. This absolutely massive crack. Fuck. This absolutely massive crevice in Lornaghast crust divides the Badlands from other mainland attractions. The Ta Den Canyon is so deep that it's actually the only widely known access point to the Underdark, as sometimes young drow climb up the unnatural walls of the canyon in order to escape the horrors of the Underdark. Now, you might be wondering why I chose the word unnatural when describing the walls of the canyon, and that's because this canyon wasn't made through natural means. To make a very long story short, the canyon was created when a gnome by the name of Ta Den accidentally created a portal to the Nine Hells, because that's something that he has the ability to do by accident. Ta Den is a cosmic anomaly that shouldn't exist, but that's a story for another time. Moving a bit to the east, we have Kraken's Reach. There's not a lot to say about these. They're basically just a series of cliffs with an odd story of their formation. So, once upon a time, there was this kraken named Draidar that got really angry and smacked a cliff with his tentacles a couple of times. Yeah, that's it. That's the story. Now we're going to travel on over to the north, where we find the Grim Frost Tundra, a harsh and unforgiving landscape that few have called home. There are two major places of note in the Grim Frost Tundra. One is the town of Grimfrost itself, which is mostly an abandoned town with only a few permanent structures. We're going to talk about some cities and towns later, so that's all you're getting for now. And secondly, there is the ruins of Frostmourne, an old arcane academy that has now turned into the hideout for a prominent bandit faction. More on them later too. I just point these two places out to show that not much happens in the tundra because it's not the easiest place to traverse. Pushing to the west, we find Draco's Ridge, a mountain range sacred to the native dwarves of the region. Legend says that this range of mountains were at one point the nesting grounds to the now extinct thunderbirds, mythical creatures said to be ancestors of the many bird folk races in Lornaghast, who also brought about various weather phenomenon. Draco's Ridge is also rumored to contain a workshop for Draco I, a great dwarven hero who founded the city of Draco. By the way, get used to hearing the word Draco a lot. I feel like I'm going crazy every time I say it. We're gonna head back down south for a second to talk about the Ta Den Forest, which, oh fuck, not this dude again. Okay, so the Ta Den Forest is this ancient place filled with foliage spilled over from the Feywild. It's incredibly dense and filled with weird creatures that will kill you if you so much as make one wrong step. It's great, I love it. Now, as for the name, it is commonly believed to be the sort of birthplace of Ta Den. I say sort of because, again, Ta Den is just a weird cosmic anomaly and has a whole can of worms that I won't be opening today. Finally, we have Typhon's Horn Peak. Typhon's Horn is super important to native tiefling culture, and while the reason tiefling make pilgrimage to this peak has been lost to time, there are two theories as to why this is. First and foremost, many hold the belief that Typhon's Horn is a literal horn of some archdevil in one of the 9 hells. This belief came around a campaign to literally demonize tiefling in Lornaghast, even though they quite literally had been on the continent since before recorded history. The second stems from the significance the site holds to the Lich King Typhon, as it is the site where he initially defied Merkel, this world's god of death, and officially declared himself a lich. And those are the major geological locations of Lornaghast. You might be wondering why I haven't talked a lot about these islands, and truth be told, that's because I'm saving them for the next few videos where we will be discussing the many countries of Lornaghast, as well as the independent territories. And that's about it. That's really all I have for now. If I make more of these, cool.